The moment my boss laughed while firing me, I knew he had made the biggest mistake of his career. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I wasn't just the director of operations. I was the only reason anything in that company actually worked, and he was about to find that out in the most expensive way possible. By lunchtime, a $2.3 billion acquisition had collapsed, and the smile had completely vanished from his face. My name is Lauren Hayes, and this is the story of how one morning of arrogance cost a CEO everything and gave me a front-row seat to watch it all fall apart. Before I take you through what happened that day, I need you to understand something. This isn't just about revenge or karma. This is about what happens when people in power confuse presence with competence, when they mistake quiet efficiency for expendability. If you've ever been underestimated, overlooked, or dismissed by someone who should have known better, this story is for you. Stay with me. Hit that subscribe button, because what unfolds in the next few minutes is going to make you rethink everything you know about corporate loyalty. Now, let's go back to the morning that changed everything. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. on what should have been the most important day in Titan Dynamics history. After 18 months of negotiations, meetings, and due diligence, we were finally closing the acquisition deal with Apex Industries. $3 billion, the largest deal in our company's 30-year history. I had been with Titan for 11 years, working my way up from operations coordinator to director of operations. I knew every system, every process, every critical password and vendor relationship. When supply chains broke, I fixed them. When systems failed, I rebuilt them. When clients panicked, I calmed them. But I did it all quietly. No fanfare, no self-promotion, just results. That morning, I put on my gray suit, the one I saved for major presentations, and drove to the office in downtown Boston. The sun was just rising over the harbor, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink that I barely noticed. My mind was running through the final checklist for the Apex team's arrival. They were scheduled to be on site at 10 a.m. for the final walkthrough before signing. Everything needed to be perfect. I arrived at the office at 7:15. The executive floor was already buzzing with energy. Our CEO, Marcus Winthrop, was in his corner office, door open, tie already loosened despite the early hour. He saw me walk past and called out, "Lauren, my office, now." Something in his tone made my stomach tighten, but I walked in, closing the door behind me. Marcus was leaning against his desk, arms crossed, that smug smile on his face that I'd seen 100 times before, the smile of a man who thought he was the smartest person in every room. "Big day," I said, trying to read his expression. "It is," he replied, "which is why I wanted to talk to you before things get chaotic." I nodded, waiting. He picked up a folder from his desk and tossed it toward me. I caught it, confused. "What is this?" "Your severance package," he said, the smile widening. "Effective immediately, your employment with Titan Dynamics is terminated." The words hung in the air like smoke. I stared at him, certain I had misheard. "Excuse me?" Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. "Come on, Lauren. You had to see this coming. We're entering a new phase. Apex wants fresh leadership, modern thinking. He waved a hand dismissively, stuck in the old ways. We need someone who can scale. My hands tightened on the folder. "You're firing me? Today? Hours before the final walkthrough. Perfect timing, actually," he said, still smiling. "Your replacement starts Monday. This gives us a clean transition." "My replacement?" I repeated slowly. "Trevor Chen, Ivy League MBA, worked at 3 Fortune 500 companies. He's exactly what we need going forward." Trevor Chen. I knew the name. A consultant we'd brought in 6 months ago who spent most of his time in meetings producing PowerPoint decks, while I actually ran the operations he claimed to be optimizing. "Marcus, I built these systems. I know every vendor, every process, which is exactly the problem," he interrupted. "You've made yourself indispensable, and that's a bottleneck. Trevor brings scalability. You bring what got us here, but we need someone who can take us forward." He stood up, walking around the desk. "Look, no hard feelings. You'll get 6 months severance. That's generous. Most people get 2 weeks." The door opened behind me. Trevor Chen walked in, followed by Marcus's assistant and 2 other executives. They had been waiting in the hallway. This wasn't a private conversation. It was a performance. Marcus gestured toward them. "Trevor, meet Lauren. She's just been briefed on the transition." Trevor extended his hand, confidence radiating from his expensive suit. "Lauren, I've heard great things. I'm looking forward to building on your foundation." I didn't shake his hand. I looked at Marcus. "You're making a mistake." He laughed again, louder this time. The executives behind me chuckled along with him. Lauren, don't be dramatic. You're easily replaceable. Everyone is. That's business. Easily replaceable. The words echoed in my head as I stood there, surrounded by men who truly believed that operations were just checkboxes in org charts. Men who had no idea how many fires I put out daily, how many catastrophes I prevented before they ever reached their desks. I closed the folder without opening it. Fine. I'll clear out my desk. Security will escort you, Marcus said. Standard protocol for executive exits on acquisition day. Can't have any complications. He was still smiling. So was Trevor. So were the others. I walked out of that office with my head high, a security guard trailing behind me like I was some kind of threat. I packed my personal items into a box while former colleagues watched from their cubicles, confused and uncomfortable. No one said goodbye. They were too afraid of Marcus to risk it. By 8:45 a.m., I was walking out of Titan Dynamics for the last time. A cardboard box in my arms and the sound of Marcus's laughter still ringing in my ears. He thought he had won. He had no idea what he had just done. If you're still with me, and if you've ever watched someone underestimate you, drop the word underestimated in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because what happens next is going to be absolutely beautiful. Let me show you what happens when arrogance meets consequences. I sat in my car in the parking garage for 20 minutes, staring at the steering wheel, trying to process what had just happened. 11 years. 11 years of late nights, emergency calls, weekend fixes, and Marcus had laughed while throwing me away. My phone buzzed. A text from Jenna Rodriguez, one of the operations analysts who reported to me. Lauren, what happened? Everyone's saying you're gone. Is it true? I typed back, yes, I was let go this morning. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. But how are we supposed to run the Apex walkthrough? Trevor doesn't know any of the systems. I stared at that message for a long moment. Then I typed, that's not my problem anymore. I drove home, the cardboard box in my passenger seat like a tombstone for a career I thought was secure. My apartment was quiet when I walked in. Too quiet. I set the box down and made coffee I didn't drink. At 10:15 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I ignored it. It rang again. Same number. Then again. On the 4th call, I answered. Hello? Lauren. The voice was panicked, breathless. Jenna. Oh my God, I've been trying to reach you. It's chaos here. Complete chaos. I sat down slowly. What's happening? The Apex team arrived for the walkthrough, and nothing is working. The production database won't authenticate. The vendor portal is locked. Trevor can't access the supply chain dashboard because he doesn't have the credentials. Marcus is losing his mind. I took a sip of my cold coffee. And we need you to come back. Just for today. Just to get us through the walkthrough. No. Lauren, please. Jenna, I was fired this morning, laughed at, escorted out by security. Marcus called me easily replaceable, so let Trevor handle it. He's the scalable solution, right? A long pause. He doesn't know how to handle it. He's been here 6 months and he's never actually run anything. You know that. I did know that. I had known it the entire time. But Marcus hadn't cared to look past the Ivy League credentials and the confident PowerPoint presentations. Jenna, I'm sorry, but this isn't my responsibility anymore. The Apex executives are asking for you specifically. They want to meet with the director of operations who's been coordinating everything. When Marcus told them you were no longer with the company, they went silent. Like, scary silent. My heart rate picked up slightly. What did Marcus say? He tried to spin it as a planned transition, but they're not buying it. One of their executives, this woman named Patricia something, she said, and I quote, "You fired your operational backbone on the day of final review? What kind of leadership makes that decision?" I almost smiled. Almost. Lauren, I think they're going to pull out, Jenna whispered. I think this whole thing is going to fall apart. Then it falls apart, I said quietly. Maybe it should. I hung up. For the next hour, my phone didn't stop. Calls from operations staff. Calls from department heads. 3 calls from unknown numbers that I assumed were executives. I ignored all of them. At 11:30 a.m., Marcus Winthrop called. I stared at his name on my screen, feeling a strange sense of calm. Then I declined the call. He called again immediately. Declined. A text came through. Lauren, we need to talk. This is important. I typed back. I'm easily replaceable. Remember? I'm sure Trevor has it under control. I turned my phone to silent and set it face down on the coffee table. Then I opened my laptop and started checking my email. Within minutes, I had 3 messages from recruiters. Word traveled fast in Boston's tech industry. By noon, I had a voicemail from a headhunter representing Apex Industries. Ms. Hayes, my name is Robert Chen, Senior Talent Acquisition for Apex. We've become aware of some changes at Titan, and we'd like to speak with you at your earliest convenience regarding potential opportunities with our organization. I saved the message. At 12:47 p.m., my phone lit up with a news alert. Breaking. Apex Industries suspends $2 3B acquisition of Titan Dynamics, citing operational concerns. I read the headline 3 times. Then I opened the article. The first paragraph was everything I needed to see. In a stunning reversal, Apex Industries has suspended its planned acquisition of Titan Dynamics just hours before the scheduled signing. Sources close to the deal report that Apex executives discovered critical operational instabilities during their final review, including the unexpected termination of Titan's Director of Operations on the day of closing. Apex CEO Patricia Morrison stated, "We cannot move forward with an acquisition when fundamental operational leadership has been compromised." I set my phone down and let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Marcus had stopped smiling. Okay, we're halfway through this story, and I need to pause for just a second. What's happening right now is exactly what happens when people mistake luck for skill. When they don't realize that the quiet people keeping everything running are the only thing between success and total collapse. If you're loving this, if you can't wait to see what happens next, make sure you're subscribed. Because the best part, the absolute best part, is still coming. Let's keep going. By 1 p.m., the story had exploded across financial news sites. My phone was vibrating nonstop with calls, texts, and notifications. I finally turned it back on to see 47 missed calls and over 100 text messages. Most were from people at Titan. Panic, confusion, anger. But one message stood out. It was from Patricia Morrison, the CEO of Apex Industries. Ms. Hayes, I'd appreciate the opportunity to speak with you directly. I believe there may have been a significant miscommunication regarding your departure from Titan. Would you be available for a call this afternoon? Patricia Morrison, I replied. I'm available. She called within 2 minutes. Ms. Hayes, thank you for taking my call. Her voice was professional but warm. I'll be direct. Over the past 18 months, every operational question we've had has been answered by you. Every concern we've raised has been addressed by you. Every deliverable we've requested has come through you. You are the only reason we felt confident moving forward with this acquisition. I was silent, letting her continue. This morning, when we arrived for our final review, we discovered you had been terminated. No notice, no transition plan, no explanation that made any sense. And when we started asking operational questions that we assumed you would answer, we were met with confusion, locked systems, and an executive team that clearly has no idea how their own company functions. That sounds accurate, I said carefully. Patricia sighed. Ms. Hayes, I've been in this industry for 30 years. I know the difference between someone who talks about operations and someone who actually runs them. You run them. And Marcus Winthrop just threw away the only person holding his company together. He called me easily replaceable. He's an idiot, Patricia said bluntly. And we're not acquiring a company run by idiots. The deal is off. I felt a surge of vindication so strong it almost made me dizzy. I appreciate you telling me that. I'm not done, Patricia continued. Apex Industries would like to offer you a position, Senior Vice President of Operations. You'd be overseeing our entire North American infrastructure. Significant salary increase, equity, full benefits, and most importantly, leadership that actually understands what you do. I sat up straighter. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you the role you should have had years ago. Titan wasted you. We won't. I thought about Marcus's laugh, about Trevor's smug handshake, about 11 years of being taken for granted. Can I think about it? Of course. Take the weekend. But Lauren, between you and me, you deserve better than what Titan gave you, and we'd be lucky to have you. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment, staring out the window at the Boston skyline. Everything had shifted in less than 6 hours. At 3 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Marcus. Another call I declined. Then a text. Lauren, please, we need to talk about this. You can't just walk away. I typed back, you fired me. You escorted me out with security. You laughed. I didn't walk away. You threw me away. Now deal with it. He tried to call again. I blocked his number. By evening, more news broke. Titan stock had dropped 34% in a single day. Investors were demanding answers. Board members were calling for emergency meetings. And according to a friend still working there, Marcus had spent the afternoon locked in his office, trying to salvage something, anything, from the wreckage. Trevor Chen, the scalable solution, had resigned by 4 p.m., realizing he was about to become the scapegoat for a disaster he never saw coming. I ordered takeout and watched the news coverage from my couch, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Free. The weekend was quiet. I ignored most calls, spent time with friends I'd been neglecting, and actually slept past 6 a.m. for the first time in months. On Monday morning, I called Patricia Morrison. I accept your offer. Excellent, she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. Welcome to Apex, Lauren. I think you're going to like it here. The news of my hiring made waves in the industry. Former Titan director joins Apex, the company that walked away. The headlines wrote themselves. Marcus tried one last time to reach me, sending an email through my personal account that I'd forgotten he had. Lauren, I made a mistake. I see that now. Come back. We can fix this. Name your price. I replied with 2 words. Too late. 3 weeks later, Titan Dynamics announced layoffs, 40% of their workforce. The acquisition deal that was supposed to save them had collapsed, and investors had lost confidence. Marcus was asked to step down by the board. I heard through former colleagues that he tried to blame me. Told people I had sabotaged the company on my way out, that I had locked systems intentionally. The truth was simpler and more damning. I hadn't sabotaged anything. I had just been the only person who knew how to run everything, and when they threw me away, they realized too late that confidence and competence are not the same thing. At Apex, I built something better. A team that valued knowledge over ego. Systems that didn't rely on one person holding everything together. Leadership that asked questions before making decisions. Patricia checked in with me regularly. How are you settling in? Better than I expected, I told her honestly. Good, because what Marcus did to you was inexcusable, but it gave us the opportunity to work with someone we've been trying to recruit for months. His loss, our gain. 6 months later, I ran into Trevor Chen at an industry conference. He looked uncomfortable when he saw me, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Lauren, hey, I just wanted to say... Don't, I interrupted. You don't owe me anything. You were hired to do a job you weren't qualified for, and that wasn't your fault. But you should have known better than to accept it. He nodded slowly. I should have. I'm sorry. I walked away without looking back. That evening, I got dinner with Jenna Rodriguez, who had also left Titan after the collapse. She was working at a startup now, thriving in a way she never could under Marcus's leadership. Do you ever think about that morning? She asked. The day he fired you? Sometimes, I admitted, but not with anger anymore. More like disbelief. That he could be that blind. Jenna shook her head. He wasn't blind. He was arrogant. He thought the company ran itself, that you were just there. He didn't see you until you weren't there anymore. She was right. Marcus had confused my quiet competence with invisibility. He had mistaken my lack of self-promotion for lack of value, and when he threw me away, he learned the hardest lesson of his career. The people who talk the least often hold everything together. And when they're gone, the whole house falls. My boss laughed when he fired me at 8:30 in the morning. By noon, his $3 billion deal had collapsed. By evening, his career was over, and I had already moved on to something better. So here's my question for you. Have you ever been underestimated by someone who should have known better? What happened? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear from you. And if this story reminded you that your value isn't determined by whether someone sees it, if it showed you that walking away is sometimes the most powerful move you can make, subscribe to this channel. We're sharing stories of people who refused to shrink, who stood tall even when they were dismissed. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching until the end. And remember, you are not easily replaceable. You never were. I'll see you in the next one.